Welcome back, listeners. Well, Jack still hasn't gotten back in touch with me. I've tried multiple different means of communication, but she's still decided to completely ignore me. This has forced me to make a difficult decision. I know that I lost some of your trust when you found out I recorded Jack in our planning sessions. I also know that for whatever reason, Jack really didn't want me to talk to her family, her sister in particular. I don't want to betray any more trust. But at this point, I don't think I have another option. I decided to talk with her sister. I have decided and made clear to her that any correspondence we have will be made public so that you, our listeners, and more specifically, Jack, if you're watching, will know everything that was said. This is the email I sent to her. Dear Dr. Maria Fedick, thank you for reaching out to me. I am willing to speak with you about your sister and these tapes, but only if it is recorded. I will be releasing the conversation of our recording as an episode of my podcast to ensure that Jack knows exactly what we discuss. If you agree to these terms, then we can speak. She responded to this email in agreement and then suggested a date. I responded to that, agreeing, and we filmed this interview you're about to see. I just need to say before I play this, I don't know if I'm making the right decision here. Jack is my friend, and I don't want to do anything that would hurt her. But at this point, I felt I needed to hear what her sister had to say, and I think you deserve to hear it as well. All right, I have started the recording.
Okay, first off, thank you for agreeing to this. I understand that my sister tried to stop this from happening, and I know that she has a way with words.
What is it that you wanted to talk about?
Uh, well, I know you're doing this as part of your show. Do you want an introduction or anything?
Sure. Go ahead.
My name is Dr. Maria Fedick. Jack is my little sister.
And what made you want to reach out to me?
Well, I stumbled upon your show here and was frankly a little appalled to have my family history put out there on the internet. But I decided to let it go as I didn't want to create any more tension between Jack and myself. I only decided to speak up in the interest of my sister's health.
What do you mean by that?
I'm sorry to break it to you and your audience, but Jack has been lying to you this entire time.
Are you saying the tapes aren't real?
They're real in that they exist, but there's no mystery to them. We know who sent them and why.
Who sent them?
Our mom did.
What?
She admitted it.
Is your father the voice we hear on the tapes?
No, that was just some guy. But my mom was the one who orchestrated the entire hoax and sent them in the mail.
I'm confused.
Let me start from the beginning. Our mom was an artist. At least she was when she was younger. She ended up giving up on it when she decided to have a family, but she still had a passion for it. She would always work on these little projects. She had one in particular that was very intense. She took over one of the rooms in our house and built a little downtown area, like the kind you would find in a resort town. She made it out of sculpted foam that she painted. She filled the streets with all these little marionettes and modified the ceiling fan to pull strings on a track to have them walk around the town. She even gave each one of them a name, a personality, and a backstory.
That sounds incredible.
More like terrifying.
Do you have any photos of this?
She wouldn't allow it.
Why not?
She said that some art just needed to be experienced.
Did your mom hide all of her art?
No, she had plenty of pieces in galleries throughout the years.
So, what happened that made your mom confess that she was the one who made the tapes?
Well, after the sixth tape arrived, my sister was having a real hard time with it all, so my mom decided it was time to end the ruse.
That doesn't make sense. If she confessed for Jack's sake, why did she do it after tape F and not after tape C, which, according to Jack, sent her to the hospital?
My mom was not well, and even when she was thinking right, she was still a very odd person. I don't want to paint it with a broad brush and say all her mental health issues explain all the baffling things she's ever done, but I will say that if we try and pick apart her motivations for everything she's ever done, we'll be here all night without making any progress.
That's a very convenient explanation.
Not for me, it isn't. You can't imagine what it was like growing up with this hanging over your family, finding out that nearly a decade of your personal trauma was propagated by your mother without ever being given a true reason as to why.
Jack never mentioned anything about her mom being unwell. Was she ever diagnosed with a mental health condition?
No, but that is just one example of one of the many lies and stretched truths that Jack told you.
What else has she lied about?
Jack didn't go to the hospital for exhaustion after the third tape. She was checked into a mental institution where they determined she was having delusions.
What?
Also, my mom didn't leave, as Jack had said. She killed herself.
What?
That's what made me decide to reach out to you. When she was just stretching the truth in the beginning to fit her narrative, I was comfortable letting that go. But when she lied about our mother, I knew I had to speak up. I don't know if she lied because it doesn't fit her narrative or if she lied because she truly believes it, but in either case, it shows that she is losing her grip on reality.
Um, okay. Let's start at the beginning. Why don't you tell us the story of these tapes from your perspective?
Most of what Jack told you is true. Her, our brother, and our parents were all on a cross country road trip when the first tape arrived. The only part about this that Jack left out was why she was so upset towards the end of that trip.
Why was she upset?
We had a family dog growing up. I was watching it while they were all on the trip, and tragically, he got out and was hit by a car. When they stopped at a rest area, my mom called the house to check in, and I delivered the bad news. Needless to say, Jack took it really hard.
What does that have to do with the tapes?
Oftentimes, people will link trauma that they experience with an external element. This helps them cope with their feelings because it gives them a safe place to dump their negative emotions. It's my belief that this is what my sister has done with these tapes. The fact that you asked her directly why she was so upset on the trip and she omitted the story about the dog only proves my theory further. We didn't understand why at the time, but even with the first tape, my mom was behind Jack, pushing her further down the path of her obsession. I mean, Jack even told you herself how she woke her up in the middle of the night and forced her to listen to one of the tapes.
Jack said she offered for her to listen to it. She didn't say that she forced her to.
You weren't there. You don't know what it was like. The morning after, Jack was traumatized. She didn't say it directly, but it was as plain as day. Besides, even if Jack had agreed to listen to it, she was far too young to be making that decision.
It really sounds like you're the one who is reframing this story to fit the narrative.
Look, I get the allure of this story, especially for someone trying to get famous off it or whatever you're attempting to do with this show. I understand that you want this to be true, but I assure you that I'm telling the truth.
But why should I trust you over Jack?
Because I am more than happy to provide you with evidence. I can get you in touch with my father or my brother who will verify my version of the story. And I'm sure I could even track down one or two of Jack's ex-boyfriends if that's what it takes.
You could get them to confirm your story, On camera.
Yes, because just like me, they want to help Jack overcome this fantasy that has been weighing her down since she was a child. Just look at your own show. First episode, Jack said she told you the person was still a mystery to her, enlisted that she didn't know anyone with the artistic merit to pull it all off. Right? Well, that right there is proof of a lie. Our mother was an artist, and she had dozens of artist friends that we all knew as well.
Okay. Let's assume you're telling the truth about your mom, and Jack lied to me about that. That doesn't instantly validate your entire narrative.
What's happened every time you've tried to get Jack to provide more evidence? She's pushed back hard, has she not? Ask yourself this. What is more likely? A sick woman convinced you of her delusion, or there's some conspiracy within her own family trying to keep all of this hidden?
Or maybe you're just too close and can't see the forest for the trees. A lot of the points you've brought up can be interpreted in multiple ways.
If someone is desperate for something, they will find any excuse to continue believing in it. Jack is very smart and will be able to find a little bit of uncertainty in any situation in order to sustain her delusions. And clearly, she'll be able to convince others of it as well.
This just doesn't add up. Jack has never said anything even remotely negative about her mom before, either in regards to these tapes or apart from them. I just can't believe her mom would have done this to her.
Neither could Jack. She's never brought it up because she believes her version of the story with all her heart. In her version, she and our mom were a team working together to try and save this poor trapped man, and everyone else was just an outside force trying to stop them. It was literally them against the world. Of course, Jack wants to believe that version of the story. It's far more romantic than our mom being responsible for everything.
But that's the sticking point for me. If it was your mom the whole time, why did she do it?
I told you I don't know.
Sure you do. You have everything else figured out. You know everyone's secret motivations, right? So tell me, what was your mom's? Why did she feel the need to torture her daughter for decades, then suddenly change course? Why did she only torture Jack and not you or your brother?
Jack was not the only one who was hurt by these tapes. This ripped our family apart. I'm still trying to deal with my own trauma because of this. When I was growing up, I wanted to be a journalist, but I decided to go into psychology because I thought maybe I could find some answers there. I was never able to have a healthy romantic relationship because I was too afraid to bring them home to meet my family. Not to mention, I've had to come to terms with the fact that my mom, as strained as our relationship may have been, killed herself because of these tapes. My mom used Jack and these tapes for her art project, and now you're doing the exact same thing. Jack said it herself in one of your videos. You asked her if she still believes in the tapes, and what did she say? She said it depends on the day. She is trying to come to grips with this, and you are pushing her further into her delusions. You need to understand that.
Fine. But you need to understand something too. I am asking these questions for Jack's sake, not the show's. Jack is my friend, and she has never given me a reason to doubt her. I don't know if your version of the story is true or if hers is. But if you want me to doubt my friend, you need to answer some very specific questions for me.
Why not? Ask away.
Obvious tension aside, I know this is a difficult question, so I apologize for having to ask it. The biggest gap in your two stories is what happened to your mother. Why are you certain she killed herself? Is there any possibility that's not what happened?
She wrote a suicide note before she got in the car and left. In it, she said that she was sorry for what she did to our family and she was going to make it right, that in doing so, she would have to leave this place forever. 10 days later, they found her car in a lake in New England.
Did they recover her body?
No, but the front windshield was shattered and the lake feeds into a river which feeds into the ocean. So the local police said it was highly unlikely that we would ever find a body. And if that's not enough for you, I also saw my mom right before she walked out, and I can confirm that she was not in a right state of mind.
You saw her right before she left?
Yes. This was especially odd, seeing as my dad had kicked her out of the house about a year earlier, meaning she had broken in.
What do you mean that she was not in a right state of mind?
I was home from school on Christmas break and I couldn't sleep. I heard a noise downstairs and decided to investigate. It was my mom, and she was talking into a tape recorder. All I heard her say was, "I know I fucked up real bad." And then she noticed me and stopped recording. She tried to hide what she was doing too by shoving everything into her purse. And when I approached her, she gave me a big hug and looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I love you. I'm sorry. Please take care of your sister for me."
She asked you to take care of Jack?
Yes. And the keen-eyed observer will also note that she made no mention of me or our brother in that statement.
So, what did you do?
I hugged her back. And when I was hugging her, I reached into her purse and pulled out a tape without her noticing.
Why did you do that?
I was trying to fulfill my mother's wishes. It sounded like she was recording a confession, and I wanted to make sure that Jack had a chance to hear it, so that she would finally give up on this whole sick, twisted delusion.
Was it a confession?
I don't know. In hindsight, I should have grabbed the recorder as I didn't see her eject the tape, but at the time I was a little distracted.
So, what did you end up pulling out?
It was just one of Jack's tapes that my mother was carrying around with her.
Okay. Well, you claim your mom confessed after tape F arrived. What exactly did she say, and why didn't Jack believe her?
She sat us all down and said that it was all an art project that got out of hand. She said she thought she was creating something beautiful and didn't intend for it to cause any harm. As for Jack, she took a minute to warm up to the idea, but eventually she believed it. And life nearly got back to normal until the night my mom left in that car, and then everything started to unravel for Jack.
This still doesn't explain where the tapes came from in the first place. You say the trap man is just some guy. Can you get us in touch with this man? Was he a friend of your mom's or something?
No, my mom loved to buy other people's discarded art at thrift stores, garage sales, consignment shops, or wherever else you find junk that other people don't want anymore. She told us she found the tapes at a garage sale. Some guy was selling a recorder with the tapes. And the tapes contained an audio drama that he was trying to sell to radio stations or something like that, but he couldn't find any buyers. She listened to the tapes, and that's what sparked her idea.
But why would she subject her own family to that?
Again, I don't know, but my mother was unwell.
I know you don't know, but she was your mom. You knew her better than anyone. You must have a theory.
I have lots of theories.
Then tell me one.
Which one do you want to hear?
The one you think is right.
Of the five of us in the family, Jack and my mom were the most alike. Jack has a tough demeanor, but at her deepest levels, she's a sensitive artist just like my mom was. And I think my mom thought this was going to be a bonding experience for the two of them.
In spite of all the pain it would cause?
More like because of it. My mom always used to say that Through pain, there is growth. I think she believed the trauma would help Jack become a stronger person and a stronger artist. Essentially, I think it was supposed to be the artist's version of tough love.
Okay, well, that's all the questions I have for you. I know this wasn't easy, so thank you for answering all of my questions.
Sure. And Jack, if you're watching this, give me a call. I'm worried about you and I love you.
So, after that conversation, I haven't really decided exactly how I'm going to proceed with the show. I know a few of you have commented Joanna B on Facebook, as well as Robert W. and Jacqueline K on YouTube, all requesting that I release tapes G and H. I assure you this, if I decide to release any more tapes, those will be included. And a few other fans have brought up some really interesting points as well. But I'd really like to hear from Jack before I delve into the tapes anymore. Please continue to comment, and if you have any questions or comments regarding any of the past tapes. All right. Jack, I hope you're watching this, and I hope that you're okay. I just want to say that your sister brought up some very compelling points, and I may look like an idiot for saying this, I still believe you. I would love to hear your response to what your sister said. But just so you know, I don't feel that you owe it to me or anyone for that matter. This feels weird. I don't know if this is the last time I'm ever going to talk to you. But if it is, I want you to know I believe you. And I thank you for entrusting me with your story. This is Lena for Tapes from Beyond. Good night and stay safe.